All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to say call on Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakwadash. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the Almighty, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the God of Gods. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the Lord of Hosts. Host means army or war. And the Lord of Terrors, the King of Spirits. Shalom and much blessings to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, the Most High. Much love and much blessings also to his son Yahweh Shai, the Adonai, the Muhammad Shiach, the light of this world, the one who died for Israel and covered Israel with his blood and grafted him into the new covenant, the only nation that's granted for a salvation. Much love to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, son Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and other names that have no power. Much love to the children, the elect among Israel. Those of you that are listening, you are probably the elect. Much love to you. And much love to the beautiful prophets of the new covenant. Much love to them. They do everything in their power to give us the proper breakdowns, to give us up-to-dates on real-world news that's connected to the Bible. And they do everything in their power to show Yahweh Hashem Yahushua that they love him and they fear him. And they are also the elect. Much love to the beautiful Akwaf, the beautiful elect women. And it's not a lot of you. And whether you got a man or not, you still fear the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh. You listen and you learn in silence. And I need a title because I'm moving so fast. I didn't have a proper title. I'm just gonna name it The Coming Wrath, yeah, because my short is called The Coming Wrath, so I'm gonna name this one The Coming Wrath. And as you can see, I got another one of those beautiful portraits of the Russians of icons of Russia, and the portrait of Yahweh Shai, before it was painted over, like it says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked who cover up the judges of the faces thereof. If not, where and who is he? Because the white man had covered it up during the Renaissance and the rebirth and made them white when they were actually this original color. So you got Yahweh Shai sitting there with the Bible. That is the Bible in his hand. And he's sitting on his glorious throne, and he got all these angels around him, armies and armies of angels. As you can see, he has the halo, or that extreme power, the representation of that extreme power and that extreme knowledge. You got the angels from the book of Revelation that told John to come and see. I think I forgot what they call, four living creatures, I do believe. But as you can see, yet again, I always imply this. You see the extreme power. You see how extreme it is, how dangerous it is, and how powerful Yahweh Shem Yahushai really is. And the picture is also showing you that he is extremely untouchable. He's guarded by thousands and thousands and thousands of angels, and these are war angels, angels for protection, angels for extreme security. Now, they made up this lie that there was a war in heaven. That never happened. That never happened. The war in heaven actually take place here when Yahweh Shai's second coming comes, and it happens, and Yahweh Shai come to glorify his Father Yahweh Shem Shai on earth, and he makes war with the white man and the nations. That is the dragon that's going to fight Michael, because Michael is going to step forward for by the commandments of Yahweh Shai, and to help Israel in this war that's about to happen. And we can actually get that. We can actually get that. Get that breakdown in Revelations. Go ahead and get this started real quick. All right, this is Revelations chapter 12, verse 2. No, 7. So we're going to go on and get that. We're going to read the full chapter to get you guys grafted in. I like to read. This is Revelations chapter 12, verse 1. And this one is this is a breakdown that I learned from Great Millstone. We no longer follow them because they're not a part of the new covenant. They say that there is no new covenant. And we not in the new covenant yet because they're based off the power and the blessings that they are going to receive. Instead of us just being saved, they more worried about that. So I don't follow them, but when I was following them, I got a lot of knowledge and a lot of breakdowns, which is a part of the spiritual journey. And right now, to be honest with you, the Bible has been decoding itself. It's been unlocking precepts and precepts and prophecies and breakdowns to where you can understand. So, whether you run into the street prophets that are in groups, you run into one street prophet, by himself, or you happen to see them on the internet, or you happen to hear people talking about it, it's actually Yahweh Shem Shai's spirit being poured on all flesh, and mainly Israel. So you're going to get a lot of these Bible breakdowns, which is not that difficult to understand. It's pretty simple, but like I said, the Bible is actually breaking itself down. It's actually decoding itself in a supernatural way, and telling us what's going on and telling us these secrets that we didn't know that was hidden right in front of our faces. So we go to Revelations chapter 12, verse 1. It says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet." So this is Israel, and the moon and the sun represent wisdom and knowledge. I do believe so, from what I remember. It says under her feet. It says, and her head a crown of 12 stars. So these are the 12 tribes of Israel. She is Israel. And the 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and in pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. So according to some events an event that happened a couple of years ago, this is actually a constellation in the sky. This actually took place as a sign in heaven, but it's actually that, and the prophecy about the chosen, and the great red dragon being the white man, because Edom actually means red, so they're not technically white as in holy. They are red people because their blood shows forth through their skin. So, and he's the great red dragon. Or they talking about dragons, they're referring to white people, or the white man, or Esau, Edom. It says having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. So when you read Esau and I do believe Jacob and Esau, the 2 twins, one came out red with a hairy garment, and then the other one came out black. Okay, so that is where that comes from. So this is who he's referring to. See, the Bible is like a puzzle, and you gotta know these specific puzzle shapes to put the pieces together to get the full picture. So you'll read something that connects to another precept way in Genesis, and then you'll go all the way to the book of Ezekiel, and it can connect to a precept in Ezekiel. Then you can bounce all the way from Ezekiel and read John, or you can bounce all the way from John and you can go to the book of Esdras or the Wisdom of Solomon, and you'll find certain precepts that connect with one another, and you got to know a little bit of history, because certain precepts is for different times and different events. That's obvious, but some precepts some prophecies had already taken place, and then some of them are taking place and some of them are about to take place. So you got to be careful. Certain precepts and certain prophecies had already happened. And then you got the ones that are more and more up to date, like this one right here. So it says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. So heaven is meaning rulership. The fight. This is a battle for rulership. This is a battle for power, for richness, for royalty, for elite. For it to be elite, to be at the top of the world, to be the 1% with all the money. This is a fight for the world. This is a fight for the richness. And, we all know that it belongs to Israel, but this is what the dragon is struggling to contend against. He knows that as long as the Israelites stand in the way, he can never truly have the world. He can never truly stay elite forever. He can't be the God of this world forever, because the world already has gods, and that they are the children of Israel. So it says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. Heaven can refer to rulership. And behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. So the great red dragon and the 7-headed dragon is representing NATO. That's who they're talking about, the European NATO, and all of these countries that are part of NATO that go against the children of Israel. Because right now, even right now, the false Israelites are in the land of Israel, and they for now they have control over the world, and look what they're doing with it. But they, for some reason, they tolerating them, but when it comes to the actual Israelites claiming a nationality and who they are, everybody stands against it. There is a problem with that. It says, I just wanted to include that. And these 7 heads actually represent different times. So I want to go to something real quick. One minute. It was a certain picture that actually broke it down. Wait, one more second. Where is it? There we go. Found it. Wait, that's not the one. That's the Forbes heads. Hold on. Oh, I found it. Sorry for the delay. I found it. Wait. No, this is the wrong one. No. God damn it. They keep giving me a loop, but I'm close to it. You're not trying to show me it. Let me see. I gotta probably quote it a certain way. Trying to be precise because I remember it, but found it. Oh, okay. So that was it. That was it. Okay. All right. So I finally got it after the delay. So with the seven-headed dragon, it's a representation of not only NATO, but the former empires of the ancient world that took over and that were extremely powerful. We got Egypt, we got Assyria, we got Babylon, we have Medo Persia, we got Greece, Rome, and a final revived empire, which is, I do believe, Rome. And then we can also get, yep, final revived empire, Rome, the one that is not yet to come, leading to the Antichrist. So that one right there. And just making sure you understand the breakdown, because it's not a giant animal like King Ghidorah on Godzilla. It's not a giant animal. It represents armies. It represents nations. So, oh, they said it differently. The seven heads are Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, Rome, and then the seventh one is the New World Order, which is what's happening right now. And then it's the eighth one. It says the king of the New World Order, which is the white people and they, Illuminati and all of that, or secret societies and all that. And then we can actually add something into it, which is what's taking place right now. We are at the end of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, the one that Daniel deciphered for the king. So it says we got the golden age, we got the statue of Nebuchadnezzar that was destroyed by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And in this place grew up the empire of Israel from the ashes. So he destroyed it at its feet, which was made of iron and clay, I do believe. And the clay represented the dead. So the money that America owned. So we have the Golden Age, which is Babylon the Great, the Lion, the Chaldean dynasty, which is they reigned for 634 years through 562 BC. King Nebuchadnezzar II. He was overtaken, and here come the Silver Age, which is the Achaemenid Empire, the Bear. It says the Medians and Persians, which is 55 through 3300 BC, King Cyrus the Great. It says the Bronze Age, which is Greco-Macedonia, the Leopard. See, these kingdoms came one after another through war. And one took over another through war. Greco-Macedonia, the Leopard. It says Hellenistic era. It says 336 through 323 BC. It says 168 AD, no, BC, Alexander the Great. It says Iron Age. It says Roman Empire, the Beast. Western and Eastern. It says 44 BC through 476 BC. And then you got the reign of the Caesars. So I can go back. Let me go back because I'm missing one more part before we continue. I'm trying to break it down so you can understand it. Wait, hang on. Go back to Facebook. And then we have the modern age, which is the new Roman Empire after they fell and they were revived. So America is the new Roman Empire. It says 10 kings kingdom. It says the European Union, the New World Order, which is about to be destroyed. So we at the end of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. That is the breakdown of the seven-headed dragon. That way you know that it's not a giant monster. It's a representation of extremely powerful nations. So we can continue. It says, and having 7 crowns upon his heads, and his tail drew a third of the part of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. That's how many Israelites are going to pass away. They're going to die in this coming war. And the dragon stood before the woman, and this is the elect, that he really talking about the elect. That says, who was ready to be delivered to devour her son as soon as it was born, to stop the truth, which is Yahushua, which is the Bible, the truth about the Bible, because all of us that know the truth are telling people and spreading the word. And, the white man wants that to be stopped. As she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto Yahweh and unto his throne. That's Yahushua. So, and it's also telling you that when he comes, he's going to come to make war. There's a saying in the Bible, or a precept, it says, and I will not come and meet thee as a man. Because he came as a man and he came in peace at the last time he came. And this time when he's coming, he's going to come as an extreme power. Like you can call them giants. It's no different. Giants, titans, whatever you want to call them. But he's going to be an unstoppable force. So we can also get that picture too. Wait, I need to show you this picture because this is no understatement. It's not an understatement. This is real. Hold on. Let me get this image real quick. Booyah. This one right here. Now you see that right there? They're not necessarily like Attack on Titans, but they're pretty big. They're pretty big, these angels. And look at the prophet right there that's giving them the food, and compared to his size, compared to them. See, this is not an understatement. This is actually pretty serious, So we can continue. It says, And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared by Yahweh, that she should feed her, that they should feed her there 1,260 days, meaning that it's preparing for when the time comes to their deliverance. When Yahweh Shai come to the second coming, they'll be safe and protected by angels and supernatural powers that won't allow them to be touched. So it says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. It says, and the dragon and the Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought in his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was there a place found any more in heaven. It says, and the dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceiveth the whole world. Right? He lied and said that that God is white, that Yahweh is white, Yahweh Shai is white, the angels are white, the Israelites are white. He covered up the truth. He covered up the truth with these churches. Like and many other religions to hide it. He got everybody to believe that the Jesus doctrine, all that. So it says, who deceiveth the whole world. And one of the main ones is to say that he was God and his people was the Israelites, and it wasn't. It's he was cast out unto the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So now, if you happen to watch Independence Day, that movie is a real representation of what is going to happen. And these angels are actually jet fighters and helicopters and giant fleet planes and all of that. Those are the angels that they referring to. And then you got those are his angels. Not This is where people be like, see, the Anunnaki are coming back. You see that precept there is a representation of the fallen angels. No, fool. The Negroes, the Mexicans, and the Indians are the fallen angels. They are the fallen angels according to the Bible. And these angels are the angels of the white man and his military powers that are going to be destroyed. That is the true interpretation of what Revelation is trying to say. And this is the time when World War III is at its maximum and all hell is breaking loose. And on top of that, the white man has also touched the apple of his eye, which is the Israelites. So the Lord promised that he would come and defend the Israelites, the chosen of the Israelites. He would come and defend them. So it says, and I heard a voice in heaven, a loud voice in heaven saying, and he was it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out unto the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. That's not a fallen angel doctrine. That's talking about the fall of the American Empire and the other military empires with him. So it says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now have come salvation. Now has come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, Yahweh, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down. He accuseth them before Yahweh day and night. With these FEMA camps that's being set up, with the ICE talking about they going door to door, with them detaining the Mexicans, they detaining blacks. They over there putting their hands on Yahweh's people. They over there making fun of them. With the bywords, the N words, the spear chuckers, the wetbacks. They portraying us as in a negative light towards the rest of the world on a world stage, and all of the world is following the white man and saying that white is superior in other places. So when you go to other places that are all white, they look at you as inferior when they're inferior, and they doing it all before Yahweh. They even go and pray to the Lord the wrong way through witchcraft, through sorcery, and all that to try and get an audience with Yahweh and his angels, and to tell him that they desire to be his people, and his people are lost and they are not worthy, to be his people. This is what they do. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. It says, therefore, you heavens and you that dwell in them, talking to the chosen, the elect, and all of Israel at that. It says, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down on you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he has a short time. So that's why all of these signs is appearing, the FEMA camp signs, um, the martial law signs, the ICE sign, the signs of war, a lot of racism and segregation. The truth about the Bible is coming out. Everybody is talking about it, bringing up the terrible atrocities that happened during slavery all the way up until now. White people trying to bury their past. They're trying to change history, so they can hide their past. A lot of these white people are also standing up and telling the truth about what they passed and who they are, and it's a lot of it coming out. All of it is coming out. So give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So his time is short, as you can see. That's why they in a panic. That's why they starting all these wars. That's why they in a struggle to keep what little power that they have left. And they are in an extreme panic. It's getting to the point to where they're attacking people. And the white man is attacking people. That's what he's doing, because he's knowing that this time is up, and Yahweh is about to remove him from his rulership. Like I said, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing worse for an ultra rich elite to go broke, to be homeless. They couldn't see themselves living in our place. They couldn't see how we survived it, how we endured it. And that's what goes with saying how the white people had actually brought this upon themselves through voting, through legislations, through redlining, through their prejudiceness, to allow certain people in power not controlling a government, being jealous, being envious, greedy, and this is from the updated from today's generation, and even in the past during slave trade times. This is how they've always been, period, point blank. And they are starting to regret it. They are starting to regret that, because now they are becoming minority. They got a high death rate. And on top of that, the world is actually changing. The world is getting hotter. The world is changing drastically. The air, the environment, everything is changing, and it's not benefiting them. Their skin can't take the sunlight. The air is becoming a little bit more different. The environment is heating up. All of this is to the point to where they can't adapt, and a lot of them are sleeping with other races, and they grafting in them, and they not investing in their own race, so it's causing them to kind of, well, majorly disappear. So they don't have the numbers to sustain a war. Like they've been saying, they don't have the numbers. Like America don't have the numbers to fight these wars. They don't have it's not a lot of their people left, and it's not a lot of white people like you think in general. They are becoming minority, and then on top of that, they are in a poor state. They're becoming a poor state. So a lot of these, white people that didn't believe in conspiracy, they didn't believe that their government would turn their back on them. They didn't believe that the World War III is actually going to kick off, and their own government is going to abandon them. A couple of years ago, they was laughing at this. They didn't really care because they were receiving benefits and all of that. And little did they know that all of the stuff they voted for, everything that they went against, they went against the Israelites and all that, is now is backfiring in an extreme way. And to top that off, the Israelites are going back to their angelic estate, and they're going back to their lowly estate, you know. And it's their fault. They brought it on themselves. Like I said, and rich people going to be poor people. Rich people see stuff like that, and they commit suicide. They kill themselves over that because they can't see their life living like that. They can't see struggling like that on the streets. They can't see themselves wearing the same clothes as everybody else. Everything got to be tailor made for them. They beds got beds built in gold and all of that. They living rent free in these giant palaces, and servants, they don't even make their own food. Having to go out and party, don't got to worry about work. Probably have to sign a few papers for their CEO companies and all of that, and they making millions off just agreements and clicking up with other organizations. They can't see themselves living at a lower estate. They don't want to go back to which is their original estate anyway, but they don't want to go back to that estate. They'll die before they do that. They'll go to war before it happens. And that's why all this is happening in the first place. It says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast to the earth, meaning that he lost his empire, he went broke, and he was defeated by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh and his son upon his second coming, and realizing it before it happens, at the same time, he persecuted the woman who brought forth the man child. It says, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, meaning that the elect got spiritual powers. So when all hell broke loose, they wasn't touched by anything that happened. The Lord didn't allow the white men to touch them, but the rest of Israel, they were destroyed. So it says to fly into the wilderness to her place. It says where she nourisheth for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. That's right. Because during the end times, they going to be taken care of. And it says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth as water, as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. So we can actually get that part of what's going to happen during these times when the pestilence and the sword and the famine is rushing through the land, and what's going to happen to those that don't believe. And we are in Isaiah chapter 65, verse 13 to 25. You can actually read the rest of Revelation. I just wanted to give you that part of the breakdown from the beginning. You can read it yourself, and pretty much you can piece all that together. I don't have to go too much into it. But that was good enough to get you an understanding that according to the Christianity's part, it's less imaginary than you think. It's kind of a realistic and at the same time on a supernatural level, but more down to earth, I think, like more realistic, but it's still like fantasy and supernatural and realism clashing together, like it says in the Bible, one realm against another. So the realm of heaven is coming to the realm of the earth. It's going to be a convergence. It says, this is Isaiah chapter 65, verse 13 through 25. It says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, behold, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. It says, behold, my servant shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. So this is the elect and those of us that chose to believe Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Come into the covenant, be clean, and be prepared, and we took the word in, we studied, we did everything that we could do to the best of our abilities, and just by believing got us saved. So it says, behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, because they had the supernatural powers to protect themselves, and they were protected. So it says, so no matter what the enemy do, bullets, bombs, scientific freak weapons, storms, animals, nothing can harm them. Nothing is going to come against them because the Lord didn't come, Yahweh didn't command it. So they, if the Lord commanded for them not to be harmed, nothing is going to harm them. Just like them angels that you've seen around Yahweh Shai, it's going to be the same thing for them. It's going to be impossible to harm them. So, so meaning that it's a breakdown. He can grant them invincibility. He can grant them extreme intelligence. He can grant them super strength. He can grant them uh, 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 force field powers. He can grant. It sounds, yeah, it does sound out of this world, but this is what Yahweh Shem Shah can do. Anything is possible, you know. And they say, according to science, that you're only using a certain percentage of your brain. So just imagine, you know, certain parts of the brain are locked for some strange reason. So just imagine when the elect have their brains fully unlocked and they can use the full capacity of their mind and the things that they can do. You know, they can materialize things, make things appear out of nowhere. You know, they can change their size. You know, they're gonna have powers over creation. So it's gonna make them extremely, extremely impossible to touch. You know, this is Yahweh Bashim Yal Shai. Anything is possible. Like they said, there's nothing impossible for the Lord. If you say that it's impossible, then you don't believe in Yahweh. That's a sin to say that. So, like he said, is there anything too impossible? You know? Ooh, y'all gotta understand how the powers. Look at this photo and truly understand the powers that you playing with, the powers that these people playing with, the powers that they going against. You know, and you see them circles, them halos around their head. That's their minds being unlocked to 100%. Like they said, he will give take out the heart of flesh and give a man a heart of stone. No, he gonna take out the heart of stone and give a man the heart of flesh, meaning that his spirit and his body and his mind gonna be connected fully, and he's gonna be able to do, the elect are gonna be able to do a lot of things that you've never seen. You know, like flying. Give them, you know, you don't see the movies like X-Men, Superman, you know, the Flash. All these stories actually come from the Bible. So I'm gonna get another precept about that. This one is a good precept, but I'm gonna read this real quick. It says, "Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit." So while they eating and they turning up and they're rejoicing, and you can't bother them, you can't even touch them, you can't even go ask them for no food, they're not gonna give you nothing, and you're gonna starve to death, and they just gonna be sitting up there enjoying themselves and laughing and forgetting about all their troubles. It says, "And you shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name." So you, oh Jesus, why you leave us like this, Jesus? Oh Yahweh, no, oh Yahuwah, you know, Yeshua, save me, Lord, or you know, other people, oh Buddha, you know, help me, you know, all these other false gods, you know, they're not gonna come and save them, you know. And the real chosen is gonna know Yahweh, his true name. They're gonna know the power's name. So it says that he who blesseth himself in the earth shall bless himself in the truth, in the Yahweh of truth. And he that sweareth in the earth shall swear by Yahweh of truth, because of the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hid from they are hid from my eyes. So that's the new covenant, meaning that he gonna forget all our sins. Everything is blessed. You are clean, you are new. You know, you cast aside all the things that made you filthy to the best of your abilities. And when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai came and saw that you was ready, he cleaned you up and blessed them. You know, that's how it's gonna go. It says, "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth." It says, "And the former shall not be remembered, nor come to mind." All of this is passing away. All of this is passing away. So, oh, you was a rich, you super ultra rich, you own like 2-3 companies, you know, you got these businesses booming. Oh, you was a doctor, you know, and you was a rich doctor, and you owned your own hospital, or you was some sort of, you was a teacher and you was educating children, or you was some sort of a lawyer, rich lawyer, and a part of a law firm. When a society collapses, you're just gonna be another person. You're gonna everybody that's not in, even they go for the Israelites that's not in the truth, and they positions in life, they all gonna be lowered to a low status. They're gonna be bums, and the elect is going to be put up in their estate. So right now, that's the whole point of going back to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai and being a part of the new covenant, is because you raise yourself back to a high estate, back to your original estate. So when everything collapses, you know who you are. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai got your back, and that's gonna keep you up there when everybody falls down. So you was prophesying, or you was making videos, or you was telling people about it. You was on the highways and byways trying to help people. You know, all of that is gonna be remembered, and it was a part of your elevation. So Yahweh is not gonna let you fall. He's gonna keep you there. Or just by you believing, like you said, if you got faith that the mustard seed, you would tell the mountain to move, and it's gonna move. That's how it starts. So so it says, but be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I created. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and in my joy of my people. And the voice of the weeping shall be no more in her, no more, nor the voice of the crying. That's in the new world to come. It says, there shall no more thence be thence an infant of days. It says, nor old man that hath not filled his days. It says, for the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. It's talking about immortality, and it could be talking about our enemies and how they not gonna make it. Being 100 years old shall be accursed. Or maybe they're gonna be able to live so they can be a part of slavery, and they're gonna be working forever. That's probably what it's going into. It's pretty tricky. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and they shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. For as the days of the tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. It says, they shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of them, no, of Yahweh, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are speaking, I will hear. Yet they are speaking, I will hear. The lamb and the wolf shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and the dust shall be the serpent's meat. Meaning that it's a regular snake. They're not going to be hunting anymore. They're going to be divine creatures, especially when they are around the Israelites. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith Yahweh. See, when they are around the Israelites, they are harmless. You gonna have regular Israelite man can have a giant lion in his house and not be harmed. Like it said in the beginning of Genesis, when like it said, the fear of ye and the dread of ye shall be upon every creeping thing and every beast of the earth, meaning that everything was afraid of Adam, and he had power to tell the lions what to do. He had power to tell the snake not to bite. He had power to tell the bear, not to attack. He had those kind of powers. But when he lost those powers, those animals had went against him. Those animals had challenged him. They were no longer afraid of him. So you can read that in Genesis 2. So we can also go to this. It was a precept about spiritual power. That's Philip. There you go. This one is crazy. This one is crazy. So this is Acts 8. So we can read this too. This is Acts 8, chapter 1, verse 1, I do believe. It says, that set off a terrific persecution of the church in Jerusalem. The believers were all scattered throughout Judea and Samaria, all that is, but the apostles. Good and brave men buried Stephen, giving him a solemn funeral. Not many dry eyes that day. It says, and Saul just went wild, devastating the church, entering the house after house, dragging men and women off to jail. Forced to leave home base, the followers of Yahushua all became mercenaries. Wherever they were scattered, they preached the message about Yahushua. Going down to the Samaritan city, Philip proclaimed the message of the Messiah. It says, when the people heard what he had to say and saw the miracles, the clear signs of Yahweh's actions, it says they hung on his very word. Many who could neither stand nor walk were healed that day. The evil spirits protested loudly as they were sent on their way. Right, because they was exorcising people. There was, the prophets had powers to cast out spirits. So if you were a drunkard and you were constantly drinking, and they call wine and all that spirits, and you had a demonic spirit in you because you were an extreme drunkard, they had the power to cast out that spirit out of you. Or if you had just a downright nasty demonic spirit that caused your body to contort, and to change its shape, they had the power to cast that spirit out. Nowadays, when it comes to the false churches, Catholic churches, you got these exorcist movies about the priests with the cross and with the holy water talking about Jesus compels you, Christ compels you, come out, demon come out, Jezebel's spirit come out, Beelzebub, and the demon overreacting and all that. That is just Hollywood. In reality, you can pretty much walk down the street and see a lot of people that are demonically possessed. Some of them are homeless. Some of them are hospital patients that are no longer being taken care of. Some of those people, gang members, killers, murderers, you know, drug addicts, prostitutes. Come on now, you know. Some of them oppressed with spirits of sloth, men that don't want to work. I'm giving you, because one of the main things that the Bible can do is give you low level spiritual power. So it allows you to see the spiritual world on an earthly plane at a low level, but it's just enough for you to see what's going on. See the unseen, like Yahweh Shemiah Shai say, see the world that you can't see. You gotta be able to discern it and understand it and see just how serious this is. So they're talking about the exorcism of Emily Rose, the movie called Apostle. What's another movie? What's the other movie? The exorcism of the Pope Exorcist or something like that. You got it's a gang of these church movies just to scare you to believe in Christianity and go to church. Scam. You can look up all these movies, these horror movies on your own. Some of them were good, but it's not accurate. And you don't see priests coming down to visit anybody, and they don't have the power to exorcise people. You know how they be doing in a church, and people fall down and be like, "Oh, I got the Holy Ghost," or "Come out, demon," and people all contorting all on the ground, faking and shit, talking about, "I can feel the spirit in me." That they don't have no power to do that. You got to be an actual elect. You have to be chosen in order to do that. A person can have a spirit on them that's causing them to be blind, or a curse. A person could don't have no leg, you know or a person could be deaf, a person can have tumors all over his body, and these prophets had the power to heal them, to absolve them. They had to, and this was for only Israel. So they was coming to Israel to show Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's power, you know, through Yahweh Shai and magnify it. That was their purpose. And to convert the people that thought they were Christians, the people that thought they were Hellenistic, the people that thought they were Romans, oh, I'm Roman and black, back in the days, or I'm or different other nationalities that Israelites would claim because they were lost, or I'm Catholic, no, you're not. You're an Israelite. This is what they were doing. It was spreading a message after Yahweh Shai's passing, and they had the powers to do it. He gave them those powers. So let me see. I got one more story to pull up too, but this one was pretty cool. It says, "And what joy in the city." Now it says these evil spirits protested loudly that they were sent on their way, and what joy in the city. So, like I said again, it's a lot of people with spirits on them, demonic spirits, evil spirits that torment them day and night. I see them all on the street. You see them too. And these people need help. They especially our people, not just everybody, our people. Especially like Kensington, Philadelphia. Oh my goodness, that looked like the exorcism. You talking about them pastors? Them pastors don't come out to church and heal nobody. And the prophets of today that are on the highways and byways, they are giving out the healing, but nobody wants it. So if you don't take the healing now, when it's time for you to actually be healed with the actual power, it's not going to work. You got to believe in order for it to work. You have to, and you got to put in effort. You got to work for it. Like Yahweh Bashem Yahushai said, nowadays he don't cast out spirits, and what happens to people that got demonic spirits on them? Normally they are destroyed. They die with them spirits on them. They have to ask for it to be taken off them. Or like Yahweh Shai said, it has to be through much fasting and through much prayer. And that's a lot of effort to get rid of a spirit off a person. Trust me, I done seen it. I done dealt with it. And realizing it, there was nothing I could do about it. They had to change their own lives and certain things. They had to ask for it, and I don't have the power. And I do got the low level spiritual power, but they won't take it. They don't want to be healed. They don't want to change, But like I said, you can always go out in the street and see all of this demonic activity. Is no priest in sight. Rome ain't coming down. They not working on those special cases. They not exercising nobody. None of these pastors coming out to come heal and take care of these people. People just suffering out in the streets and nobody is there to help them. But in ancient times, the prophets were there and they here now. But like I said, they don't want to take that healing, They don't want to take the healing right now for those of them that are capable of accepting it. Certain cases that people that have these, these curses and these demonic entities on them do require supernatural power, but that won't take place until later. But those of them that are lighter cases, that understand and have comprehension and all of that, they don't want to be healed by the word, because you get healed by the word. That's what the prophets are here for. They help you to get healed by the word. But if you don't take that, then you refuse the healing. We don't have the power yet. You waiting for us to have the power and for us to show it to be healed when you wasn't believing before. Because that's what it's going to take for a lot of others to be converted. They're going to want to see that power, instead of believing on it and being like, what? He already helped me and healed me supernaturally. All I got to do is put it to, push forward on it and work on it and, get the spirit off me. But back in those days, this was the evil spirits protested loudly. They were sent on their way because they was healing people, man. What it say? Many who could neither stand nor walk were healed that day, putting back legs, getting rid of diseases off people, getting rid of addiction. Crackhead walk up and, the prophet can heal him and he don't want to do drugs no more. It took the addiction spirit right out of him. And they was doing this all for free. You ain't got to charge no false priest to come all the way down from Rome. Uh, 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 what 5 to 20 grand to come heal your sick daughter because she got a wicked spirit in them. Andros, the evil spirit, or something like that, or what's that called? One of the fallen angels, Azazel, in her, and all that, man. And they can't do nothing about it. It says previous to Philip's arrival, a certain man had practiced magic in the city, posing as a famous man and dazzling all the Samaritans with his wizardry. He had them all, from little children to old men, eating out of his hand. They thought he had supernatural powers and called him the Great Wizard. He had been around a long time, and everyone was more or less in awe of him. But Peter came to town announcing the news of Yahweh's kingdom and proclaiming the name of Yahushai. It says they forgot Simon and were baptized, becoming believers right and left. Even Simon himself believed and was baptized. From that moment, he was like Philip's shadow. So he fascinated with all Yahweh's signs and miracles that he believed he wouldn't leave Philip's side, because Philip had powers, visible powers. If he called a lightning bolt down from heaven, it would come down. That's how much power Philip had. Anything was possible for him. So it says, when the apostles in Jerusalem received the report that Samaria had accepted Yahweh's message, they sent Peter and John down to pray for them to receive the Holy Spirit. Up to this point, they had been baptized in the name of the Master Yahushai. The Holy Spirit hadn't yet fallen on them. It says, then the apostles laid their hands on them, and they did receive the Holy Spirit. So the apostles had powers to give powers to other prophets that didn't have no power. Once they were grafted into the covenant, they received spiritual power from other prophets. Yes, this is the thing. And they all had supernatural powers. So it was like creating a wave of believers. It says, when Simon saw that the apostles barely laying hands conferred the Spirit, he pulled out his money, excited, and said, sell me your secret. Show me how you did that. How much do you want? Name your price. Peter said, to hell with your money, and along with you with it. Why, that's unthinkable, trying to buy Yahweh's gift. You'll never be a part of what Yahweh is doing by striking bargains and offering bribes, because money can't buy you this kind of power. It says, change your ways and now ask the master to forgive you for trying to use Yahweh to make money. That's true. Because that's what all these fake prophets and these fake priests are doing, and fake pastors. They're making money off the Bible. It says, I can see that this is an old habit with you. It says, you reek with money lust. It says, oh, Simon, pray for me. Pray that the master, that nothing like that will ever happen to me. And with that, the apostles were on their way, continuing, because he's rich. And like Yahushua said, it is better for a camel to enter the eye of the needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. It's impossible. It says, and with that, the apostles were on their way, continuing to witness and spread the message of Yahweh's salvation, preaching in every Samaritan town they passed through on their return to Jerusalem. It says, later, Yahweh's angel spoke to Philip at noonday. It says, later, Yahweh's angel spoke to Philip. It says, at noon today, I want you to walk over to that desolate road that goes from Jerusalem down to Gaza. He got up and went. He met an Ethiopian eunuch coming down the road. The eunuch had been on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem and was returning to Ethiopia, where he was minister in charge of the finances of Candace, queen of the Ethiopians. He was riding a chariot and reading the prophet Isaiah. It says, the Spirit told Philip, climb into the chariot. It says, running up alongside it, it says, Philip heard the eunuch saying and asking, do you understand what you're reading? It says, and he answered, how can I read without help? It says, and Philip understood. No, then Philip and invited Philip into the chariot with him. It says that the passage he was reading was this. It says, as a sheep led to the slaughter and as quiet as a lamb been sheared, he was silent, saying nothing. He was mocked and put down, never got a fair trial. But who can now count his kin, since he has been taken from the earth? It says, then the eunuch said, tell me, who is this prophet talking about? It says, himself or some other. Philip grabbed his chance, using this passage as his text. He preached Yahushua to him, and they continued down the road. They came to a stream of water. The eunuch said, here's the water. Why can't I be baptized? It says, he ordered the chariot to stop. They both went down to the water, and Philip baptized him on the spot. When they came up out of the water, the Spirit of Yahweh suddenly took Philip off, and that was the last the eunuch saw of him, meaning that he disappeared. The Spirit of Yahweh suddenly took Philip off, meaning he vanished, and that was the last the eunuch saw of him. But he didn't mind. He had what he'd come for and went down the road as happy as he could be. It says, Philip showed up in Azotus and continued north, preaching the message in the village along the road until until he arrived in Caesarea. So that was pretty supernatural too, because Philip had another mission. So the Lord had called him up. He vanished. Angel took him somewhere else. They have supernatural powers, And one more, and then I'm done. All right, this is the last one about the spiritual power. It says, now this is 2 Kings 2. No, second book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 1. It says, now it came to pass when Adonai was about to when Yahweh was about to take up Elijah by a whirlwind into heaven, that Elijah was with Elisha from Gilgal. It says, and Elijah said to Elisha, stay here, please, for Yahweh has sent me on to Bethel. But Elisha said, as Yahweh lives, and as you live, I will not leave you. So they went down to Bethel. Then the sons of the prophets at Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, do you know that Yahweh is going to take your master away from over you today? He said, yes, I know, be silent. It says, then Elijah said to him, Elijah said to him, Elisha, stay here, please, for Yahweh has sent me unto Jericho. It says, but he said, as Yahweh lives, and as you live, I will not leave you. They came to Jericho. Then the sons of the prophets at Jericho approached Elisha and said to him, do you know that Yahweh is going to take away your master from you today? He replied, yes, I know, be silent. It says, then Elisha said to him, stay here, please, for Yahweh has sent me to the Jordan. But he said, as Yahweh lives, as you live, I will not leave you. So both of them went on. It says, then 50 of the sons of the prophets went and stood along aside at a distance from them, while the two of them stood by the Jordan. It says, Elijah then took his mantle, wrapped it together, and struck the waters, and they were divided here and there, so that the two of them crossed over on dry ground. Now as they were crossing over, it says, Elijah and Elisha asked, what will I do for you before I am taken from you? So Elisha said, please, let a double of your portion of your spirit be upon me. He replied, you have asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I'm taken from you, it will be so to you. But if not, it will not be so, right? If you got enough spiritual power to see what's about to happen to me, instead of me disappearing, he's going to see, the chariot, which is a galactic ship or something like that, come and beam him up. It says, and as they were walking along and talking, behold, a chariot of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them. And Elisha went up by a whirlwind into heaven. It says, as Elisha was watching, he was crying and saying, Avi, Avi, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. Then he saw him no more. So he took hold of his own clothes and tore them into two pieces. So this is what's going to happen to the elect when before the nuclear event happened. They're going to be translated up, and we're going to be taken to heaven and not have to die to see it. You're going to be taken up mind, body, and soul. We're going to be put on the chariots, and then we're going to be given new bodies. That's a part of the new covenant too. So I just wanted to add that in because this is what it's saying. It says, he then picked up the mantle of Elijah and fell from him. And this cloth was a holy cloth that was a part of Elisha's clothing that was holy. When he returned and stood by the bank of the Jordan, he took the mantle of Elijah that had fallen off him, struck the waters, and said, where is Yahweh, the God of Elijah? As indeed struck the waters, they parted here, then there. Then Elisha crossed over. When the sons of the prophets at Jericho saw him some way off, they said, the spirit of Elijah has rested on Elisha. So they came to meet him and bowed to him to the ground before him. Then they said to him, behold, now there are 50 strong men with your servants. Please let them go and search for your master. It says, perhaps Yahweh has taken him up and cast him onto a mountain into some valley. But he said, don't send them. But when they urged him until he was ashamed, he said, send them. So they sent 50 men. Though they searched for 3 days, they did not find him. When they came back to him while he was staying in Jericho, he said to them, didn't I tell you not to go? So that was very supernatural. And as you know, that Elisha had the same powers as Moses when he split the water. So that was another connection. You see how the precepts connect. So that was another precept that connected from Genesis, and that was what I think that was in the book of. Wait, let me see. This. Oh man. This was in the second book of Kings, chapter 2. And then that was another reference when Moses split the water. When Elijah split the water, when Elijah hit the water with his cloth, he split that water so they can walk through. He had powers to where everybody can see that he had powers. And back in those days, these empires and all of them that caught wind of these prophets were afraid of them, very afraid of them. And now today, that time is going to come. So when it's time for Yahweh's wrath to come down onto the earth, it's going to magnify through his chosen, and he's going to grant them all these kind of powers that's going to be able to protect the other elect, and he's going to give them powers to defeat their enemies. And it's going to be very, very bloody, very, very, it's going to be scary. But, if you are part of the new covenant, you're not going to be afraid. You're going to rejoice at seeing all that. It's just how it is. And, with that, I would like to dig into more, but this will be the end of another lesson. This is the coming wrath. Calling Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and it's on to the next.